Okay, this video is going to take you through some practice regarding printing in Java. And so the key thing here is to make sure that you have the print versus println.java file open in JGrasp and the MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep Java should also be open in JGrasp, so when we get there you are ready to go. Now in this assignment or in this video, what you can do is the best thing for you to do is to at least do the things along with me on the video in your JGrasp. Even better would be is when I say, okay, do you do the following, is to try to do that without or before viewing the solution, and see if you can do it yourself first. That would be the ideal thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to review just a little bit here, the print versus println. Remember, you can have a print statement that says system.out.println, and then you have the argument in the parentheses, or you have system.out.print with no ln, and then you have the argument in the parentheses. And so each of those printing methods do two things. The println, because it has the ln, which would refer to a new line, does two things. It prints the argument first, and then it goes to the next line, and then the print method prints the argument, but then it stays on the line. And so just to quickly demonstrate that, this was the output that we were supposed to do the first time. So right now, if you were in class, then your print versus println currently looks like this. Actually, probably what I should do is set this up like this. Alright, so and I guess I better go like this then. Alright, so what happens is, the reason why this is the correct solution over here, it says println. Okay, so that is what happens is it prints the AB, and then the ln means the insertion point goes to the next line. So here we are. Here's the insertion point at the next line. The next print statement says print CD, so print CD, but since there is no ln, it stays on the line. So there's the insertion point blinking away. And then the next thing says to print EF. So here it is, it prints EF. There's no ln, so the insertion point stays on the line. And then it prints a GH, and so it prints GH, and then it has an ln, so it goes to the next line. And so then the next line says to print IJ, but there is no ln, so it stays on the line, and then the last one says to print KL. Alright, so that's how that works. And so what I need you to do now is to adjust this code in print versus println and make it print or display the code like this. Alright, so go ahead and work on that, and then I will show you the solution. Alright, so what happens here is we look at this. We see it's going to print AB, and then the insertion point is going to stay on the line. So therefore, the first one needs to not have an ln. And then the next thing is it prints CD, but then it goes to the next line down. the insertion point does. So that means it needs a print ln. And so this should be ln here. And then the next thing, it prints EF, and it goes down to the next line again. So the EF printing should have an ln on it as well. So there we are. And then it's going to print the GH and then stay on the line. So it's not going to have an ln on it. So GH should not have an ln. And then it's going to print, it prints the IJ, goes to the next line. So we need an ln on that one. And so we've got to change that too. I didn't realize these were just opposite. And then it's going to print KL, which that can either be print ln or print. All right, so that's how it goes. And that's the difference between print and print ln. Now, a shortcut which I forgot to actually bring up, and which I should have been using, is you print and go or print and stay. So it's print and go or print and stay is basically what it is. Okay, now let's go back to MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1. So open up MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1. And by the way, I forgot I was really supposed to compile and then run. And so we can see that we did make this look the same. So now we go to MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1. And in MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1, what we want to do is we want to change the 1. And I should make this just a little bit larger. We would like in MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1, if you'll notice in here that we have each line is its own line, which is fine. But let's say that what we want is we want to indent these lines. And so notice in here in the output that we want is we have the H is below the O and the I below the A. So if you want to try to see how you can do that, go ahead and try that. But before you do that, I'm sorry, I forgot. Change MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1 to 2. And then do a save as. So we should, that way we don't lose MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep1. Okay, so now in MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep2, make it look like this down here, the hello world with the abbreviation or the indentations there. So hopefully you did this. And so the idea here is that what this print methods are doing is they're printing exactly what's inside the strings. And so what you need inside the string is not just how are you, but you need the spaces that it is, so it will print the spaces. And you can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, goes 4 letters. Now these are, as it says down here, these are Courier new font types, which is monospace, which means every letter takes up the same width. So an I, like this I down here, takes the same amount of width as this W. So anyways, so you can just count by letters. And then the next one, you're going to need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So those all have to take place in the string because it's going to print those spaces, and that's what causes it to be indented. And so we are going to now compile and then run it, and there it is with your indentation. Okay, let's go on to the next one, number 13. This says to try spaces in different places outside the string and then compile and run to see if it results in an error message or if it changes the output. So, where do the spaces affect the output or create an error? And so basically what happens is, and we can do that here, is that let's say, is this going to cause any issues? Well, it's no error when you run it. Does it change anything? No, there's no difference in what it was before. So that doesn't do anything. Oops. Well, what if you put it before the quotation marks? Is that going to cause an error? Well, no error. Does it change it when it runs? Nope, it looks the same. So that doesn't do anything. Whoa. What did I just do? And so, how about after? And, well, let's just throw these two in at the same time. What about those? Does those do anything? Well, there's no error. And when you run it, does it change? And once again, it doesn't change anything. And so you can see how these spaces here really don't make a difference. They don't affect the compiler or the output at all. You can even go like this, and it's not going to get an error, and it's not going to change the output. So anyway, so that the idea here is that if you're going to want to change the output as far as spaces go, that has to take place between the strings, or within a string between the quotation marks. All right, let's go. And by the way, it is the same thing here. Going like this does not change anything. It doesn't put extra space anywhere. So we're going to find out how to do that later. Okay, let's go to the next one. Change the 2 in the class name to 3. So we're going to change this to 3. We're going to do a save as. And then use 3 print statements to have the output look like this. So go ahead and do that. And so here we are. Basically what you can do is you're going to have 3 print statements, so you treat this as a line. And so you can see that there is an X, and then there's a space, and then another space, and then another space, and then you got the X. So X space X is what you have. So that's what you would type in here, and then because it's between quotation marks, it's going to print literally everything between the quotation marks. That's why it's called a string literal as well as a string. The next line, as you can see, is going to have a space, X space X. So we can type in space X, and then the last one is going to have a space, and an X. That's really all you need at that point. And so it's going to go space, and X. So if we were to compile that, and then run it, and then we get the output that looks like the V that we were looking for. All right, let's go into 15. Now go back to print versus print ln. So we're going to go back here. We're going to add a 1 to it. So add the 1, and then do a save as, so we don't lose the original. And now what you're going to do is you're going to combine the last few things that we've done into one situation. So try to make your output what it looks like down here without adding or removing any print statements. So you still have 6 print statements, but make it look like this. So go ahead and give that a shot. And so I'm going, hopefully you paused the video and then did this. So before you coming back, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we have the print AB. So it prints AB and it stays on the line. And so that means we're going to use print, which is what we have. The next thing it's going to print is going to be 1, 2 spaces, and then a CD. And then the insertion point will go to the next line down. So that means we have, so because it goes to the next line, we have to have a print ln, which it does. But what it's printing is space, space, CD. And then the next one, so it's going to print 2 spaces and EF and then stay on this line. Now, by the way, if you want, you could put these 2 spaces here after the EF. So really, you could go space, space, EF, space, space. So you can do that. And that works just fine. It's no problem, no different. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing it like this. So we're just going to go space, space, EF. And you see it stayed on the same line. So we want to make sure that this has no LN on it. The next one is going to print 2 spaces and a GH and then go to the next line down. So it needs an LN. So the LN has to be with the H. And we said it's going to print, oh wait, yeah, that's right. And so it's printing 2 spaces before it, 1, 2. And then the next one is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blank spaces, and then an IG. And then the insertion point stays on the line. So 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it stays on the line. So stays on the line means no LN. There's no new line. And then it's going to print, as we can see down here, it's going to print 2 spaces and the KL. So boom, boom, and then we can keep the LN there. That's fine. Okay, this should work. Let's make sure. And so we can see then that it is what was requested. So that's how you do that. Let's go to 16. 16, open MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep. Okay, so we're going to go back to MrPfaff-XavierCollegePrep and open that. So here we are. We're going to change the class name to Practice 4 and do a save as. And in here we want to make sure that the println method is used in each print statement. So we see here it is ln in each one. And we want to figure out which of the following print statements works or produces a blank line in the output. Because see, right now, if we were to compile this and run it, by the way, it is a good idea to clear your compiling messages every once in a while, and then even sometimes your output. Now if we run it, now we'll see that it just prints one line right after the other. There's no blank line in between. It looks like I didn't put in here what I wanted it to look like. So I'll just do it this way. What we really want it to look like, and I'll just put it up here. Oh, that's weird. Why did it do that? What? Okay. So what we really wanted to do is to have a blank line in between. So we want to print hello world, blank line, how are you, blank line, I am fine. So what we got to do is find what's the code for making a blank line. And so figure out which of the following prints a blank line. Now, so either system.out.println with nothing in the parentheses or system.out.print. And so what you can do is try that out on your own, or you can just look here. And so here we go. We're going to go down to the next line, and we want to see, is this going to print a blank line? So I'm just going to copy and paste. and have nothing be in there. So there is no argument. And then I'm going to go like this, copy it and paste it. There you go. All right, let's see, does this print a blank line? Now let's look at this and see if this makes sense. It's going to print hello world. I'll just go down here. It's going to print hello world, and then ln says go to the next line down. So then the insertion point is going to go right here, and then it prints nothing. Okay, so right here it's printing nothing, and then it has the ln, so it's going to go to the next line down and be here. So the next thing it's going to print is going to be how are you. So how are you? So you can see this should work. All right, it should actually work. So here we go. We compile and we run, and there you go. You got your blank lines in the output, and this is going to be something we'll be using throughout the rest of the semester. Some people will lose points because they don't do it when they should. So this is something you want to make sure that you learn how to do. All right, let's take off the LNs. Is that going to work? And let's check again. Hello world. I'll keep off. Okay, well, let's go. Okay, and then the insertion point, if it's just a print, or I'm sorry, ln, so it says go, now it says go to the next line. So hello world, go down here. And then print nothing, it's going to print nothing, and then there's no ln, so it's just going to stay there. So now this actually might produce an error, and I can't remember now, but if it's going to print again, now it's going to print how are you, because the insertion point stayed here. Now it may have caused an error, but we'll see that in a second. But if by just testing it out first, it looks like it would go something like this. But let's see if it actually gives an error message. Oh, oops, I wasn't supposed to delete that. Oh well. Okay. Okay, so this does give an error message. So it says this is not a suitable method. All right, so this actually produces an error. Now, some people might actually even go like this. Well, I'll just go like this then. Does that do an error? Nope. But will it work? No, because of what I was showing before. All right. So, in order to make a blank line, you need to use ln. You do not need quotation marks in there. If you do put quotation marks, it still works. You just don't need them. All right. So we are going to stop there, and you should be able to do the assignment for Chapter 1D at this time based on this.